Jay here from Stretford, Paddock. This is the Paper Talk. As you can see, I'm in the studio, so you know what to do by now. Get involved in the comments and the chat and let us know what you think about all the latest Manchester United news. We've got loads of stories to get through. Also, an update on the takeover, an update on Mason Mount, what is going on that front as well. Plus, there could be something happening with Andre Onana from Inter Milan. United being heavily linked with the Champions League finalist, a new goalkeeper potentially on the horizon there. So we'll be getting into all that. So make sure you are joining in the comments and the chat. And of course, we'll be talking about Mason Greenwood because these pictures doing the rounds. Plus, as always, we'll have a bit of an update on the takeover. What is going on? There's rumours. I say rumours because I don't think there's anything concrete. Rumours that Sheikh Jassim could be looking at another club if he's not successful at Manchester United. But we'll get into all that and see just how concrete those rumours are. Loads of people already in the chat. I'm just going to whiz through some names. Prabhav Kandawali, Adam Hasler, Dave Robottom, Solo from the United Agenda, Rebecca Jade O'Sullivan, John Henry, Jacoya Trott, all say morning, Manu Tonio, Andrew, good to see you, Brian Casey. Also, someone's saying here, where's this comment? I've just seen that. I just wanted to read out and then I can't find it. Oh, yeah. KFR Posse says, Webber is such a legend. Please let's have a brew with him, Jay and Steve. If you didn't see it, Webber from Webber and O'Neill and Dan and Webb, obviously I've known him for years. I've known him for about 15 years, maybe probably a bit longer. Was on the channel last night. Yesterday with Adam McCullough. I was gutted because I wasn't in. Webby's a bit good pal of mine. But we want to get him on more. I think he is going to do a brew sooner rather than later because he always talks a lot of sense and he's a good laugh as well. Right. Stuart Davies says, morning, Jace, from sunny Swindon. Should we get into this then? Let's talk about Mason Greenwood because obviously it's quite an inflammatory subject and it's quite a divisive subject. We know that Mason Greenwood, well, you can see there, Mason Greenwood has been suspended by Manchester United since January 2022. But the attacker is preparing to return to life as a professional footballer by taking part in a private training session. Now, these pictures doing the rounds, I think you'll see them on social media. I think they originated from The Sun, hashtag don't bite the Sun. It says there he's been spotted training with a private coach as Manchester United prepare to make a decision on his future. Now, Greenwood, just to give you an update, I'm sure you're all aware what happened. He obviously, he was arrested when he charged with obviously very serious offences. I think one of them was rape in terms of his accusations or evidence was put forward about him attacking his girlfriend. I'm sure you all heard the audio that was doing around on social media. There was also some pictures as well. Anyway, the charges were dropped. And then since the charges have been dropped, the club suspended him, the charges were dropped. Since the charges were dropped, he's still been suspended by the club, pending an internal investigation. Now, there's two schools of thought. One school of thought is, well, if the charges are dropped, why is there an investigation? Why is he not just back in the team, back in the squad, regardless of what you might think of him? If you say the charges are dropped, surely that means from a legal point of view, and he's not done anything wrong in the eyes of the law, so he can go back into the team. But just because you've not been charged doesn't necessarily mean that the club don't think you haven't done anything wrong. You might not have met the threshold for the charging by the police, or there might be a reason behind that, but the club might say, well, we're not happy with your behaviour, or we want to have an investigation into what's gone on. Obviously, like I said, that audio was a bit of a game changer as well because people heard it, no doubt the club have heard it, and they'll go, right, okay, there's something to investigate here. We need to have a discussion with Mason Greenwood, presumably, and other people, and then make a decision on his future. And it is very divisive, and it is quite difficult because on the one hand, you've got this young lad who we've all seen score loads of goals for United, and I used to rave about Mason Greenwood on this channel and on socials and in the stands. I thought he was a great player. You know, his talent is not up for debate. I think we can all agree he's a generational talent. But you've got this incident, if we could call it an incident, I don't want to be flippant about it, but this incident happened, the audio that was released, then the ensuing investigation, the charges, everything else that's gone on. It's just a bit of a mess, to say the least. And there's a lot of people who will listen to that audio, including listen to that. That's disgusting. I don't want to see this guy playing for Manchester United again. However, you further down the line, and there'll be some people going, well, he's not been charged in the eyes of the law. He's innocent. Should he not come back into the club? Listen, everyone's entitled to their opinion. I'm sure lots of people have got their opinion, and it's a difficult subject, isn't it? Because on the one hand, there's a school of thought about rehabilitation, and I come from a background of someone who, believes in rehabilitation and thinks that everyone deserves a chance to turn their lives around when they've made mistakes. But on the other hand, what we're talking about here is something that is very, very serious. And it's something that you might look at and go, do you want someone who has done something like that, or is, on that audio, do you want them representing Manchester United? Do you want to take, or do you want to go and watch them, or do you want to get behind them, and do you want to support them? That's where the discussion comes, because there's a lot of people saying, no, I don't want to go and watch Mason Greenwood, or I don't want to watch Mason Greenwood on the telly or whatever, and support Manchester United. There's others saying, he's not been charged, we need to move on, he deserves a second chance. There's a sort of divisiveness to this already, isn't there? There's always a divisiveness at Manchester United, whether you're Sheikh Jassim or Sir Jim Ratcliffe, whether you it used to be Ollie in or Ollie out, didn't it? Now it's a lot of people are divided over the Mason Greenwood topic. I'm going to get into some of the comments. I don't want to dwell on this too much. One thing I will say as well, we've got a tweet produced, Cal. We've got like one of the pictures of... Yeah, let's get a tweet up so we can see some of these pictures. Obviously, we're not going to show anything from the Sun, hashtag don't buy the Sun. But I think we can get a tweet up that features some of the pictures. I think I might have sent you one, Cal. See if you can dig it out. As soon as you get it, just stick it on the screen for us, bro. I'll get into some of the comments. Listen, one thing I will say about this is there's a chance that this might rumble on for a little bit longer. I don't see that these pictures, to me, indicate that that's it. He's going to be back in the squad anytime soon. This investigation's been going. Now you can see the pictures. A training session, I mean, it's not like he's at Carrington with his teammates. It just looks like he's having a kick around an AstroTurf with a coach, which you kind of expect him to do. I don't think he's been sat there for the last 18 months, whatever it is, not training in some capacity, not doing some sort of physical and football exercise. Of course he has. So I'm not surprised by these pictures. I think, in all honesty, they don't really tell us a lot. Do they? Does this indicate that Manchester United are prepared to let him back? There was reports, not long ago, that he said he doesn't feel he will come back to Manchester United, or that he'll play for Manchester United again. There was talk that maybe he's sending him out on loan. I think Adam McCullough and Webby spoke about this yesterday. He's sending him out on loan, not just ignoring the problem or postponing dealing with the problem. Do you not need to deal with this yourselves and go, okay, he's either in the team or at this club or he isn't? Loaning him doesn't really solve anything. Let us know what you think. I don't know. Try and keep it clean as well, and we're not going to have any comments trying to dig out the victim and all this, whatever, just going to get blocked, so let's not do that. Brian Casey says, just because he wasn't found guilty in a court doesn't mean he didn't do what he was charged with. We also the photos and heard the audio. That's the audio as well is quite damning, so I think that's the problem in terms of whether people believe him or not. I think most people have heard that audio. Patrick Cassidy says, legality does not equal morality. Just because the justice system found him not guilty doesn't mean he hasn't done it. That's another point that can be made. Jason says, Greenwood and Rashford could be the next York and Cole. He's talking about it from a football point of view, excuse me. I don't think there's a football discussion here. I don't think there's any debate of whether Mason Greenwood was a very talented young footballer. He is, but he seems like at best, a very troubled young man, and that is the issue here. Listen, we can go on and on and on about this, and I'm sure we'll discuss it further. We'll give you any update as and when they come, but at the moment, all we know is that he's having a private training session, which, if I'm being brutally honest, doesn't show us too much other than Mason Greenwood, is still kicking a football. Okay, I don't think that indicates Erik ten Hag is ready to bring him back in, although Erik ten Hag did say as well, it's not in his hands. He said it's not up to me, which I found quite curious. And I just wonder, there's just one thing I'll say before I end on this. We haven't signed a striker. The club of us, or the moves are, the noise are that it's not Erik ten Hag's decision. Are we going to be in a situation when the club go, actually, we're bringing him back into the team, we need him or whatever, and Erik ten Hag could go, this isn't my decision, it's the club's decision. No, the club have said they're happy with him to play for Manchester United, so I'm going to pick him. I don't know. I don't want to get into too many theories and conjecture on such a divisive topic, but what we will do is we will report any updates when we get them, as always. Con1WS says, fella needs a barber, that's for sure. Well, I'm not going to comment on anyone's hair, but I understand what you're on about. Let's talk about another Mason. Let's talk about Mason Mount. We are preparing FC, monitoring FC, looking at FC, interested in FC. We are all of the above FCs, aren't we? We're not bidding or buying or signing FC. We're monitoring. We're preparing. Why would you bid for someone when you can prepare to bid for someone? It's much better. See it here from Simon Stone from the BBC. He says, third Man United bid for Mason Mount, around 55 million expected. Club set to walk away from the deal if Chelsea don't accept. With a year left, United do not believe 70 million valuation is realistic. I get this. I understand this. I think that there is a limit here with Mason Mount. Now, I want us to sign players. I love transfers. I love transfers more than anything about football. But you can't just go around spending massive amounts of money on players who've had a bad season and have got 1 year left on the contract. Yeah? Mason Mount didn't have a good season last season. Chelsea didn't, but neither did he. He has had good seasons for Chelsea. He is a Champions League winner. He's had very productive seasons for Chelsea. There's no doubt the kid's got some talent. And at 24 years old, I think he is, there's the capacity and the scope for him to improve, especially with a coach like Erik ten Hag, who can and does get the best out of players. However, can we keep buying players for 70 million all the time? We love doing this. We bought Jadon Sancho for 70-odd million. I think the jury's still out on him. 80 million for Harry Maguire, 79 million for Romelu Lukaku, 70 million, I think, or just under 70 million for Angel Di Maria. 89 million, was it, for Paul Labile Pogba? We've had a lot of signings that have been the top end. If you look at like the top 20 signings in the Premier League, I think United have got about 10 of them. And what have we got to show for that? Not much. And we're talking post-Fergie, by the way. So I do get the idea that despite the fact of what's spending money, I'm going to get into the Glazers being absolute muppets in a minute and not sanctioning enough bids and signings and all the rest of it. I do feel like there is a limit here. We should be with Mason Mount, especially if we've only got a limited budget. Seton, not Dave Sexton, he used to manage United, didn't he? Still talk about Mason Greenwood. I'm going to move on in a minute. He just says, surely deserves a second chance. He scores goals for a 90-minute goal against Liverpool or City. It's forgot about. So he's talking about, from a football point of view. Let us know what you think about Mason Mount. I know Mason Greenwood was a big discussion and everyone's talking about that. But let us know what you think about the Mason Mount situation. Mason Mount for 55 million. I think that's okay. I think that's reasonable. You don't get many players who have got the sort of CV that Mason Mount has got, the age that Mason Mount is, that have played in the Premier League and had good seasons in the Premier League, who go for less than 50 million. It just doesn't happen. Brian Casey again says, Jay, you have to remember that he was managed by Frank Lampard twice last season, a man who has no credibility as a manager. Mount would thrive under Ten Hag. Casey says, should have walked away after 40 million. Yeah, I get that argument. Phil Berry says, Mason Mount for 55 million. I'd take that straight away. Laxon Mwanza says, morning Jay, it sucks to be United supporter with the Glazers still at the helm. Glazers out, the club needs to move on and improve. 100% sale only. I think when the full sale only thing, I'm not bothered about the 31% the Glazers don't own. I want them gone. I want their 69% gone, and at the bare minimum, I want them gone in terms of making decisions, but we'll have to wait and see what happens with that. I think any of them staying is going to leave a sour taste in the mouth, but we just got to get them gone. The Mason Mount one is a funny one. We'll have to wait and see. We can expect to bid anytime soon. If there is a new bid, we will give you an update, and hopefully we can end this little mini saga that it's becoming, get him done, and start looking at other areas, including goalkeeper, because we have been linked with Andre Onana. Man United hold talks with agent in Manchester as Erik ten Hag steps up 43 million transfer chase. Hit the like button as well, by the way, people. Jack Scott says, hi, Jay. Happy Friday, mate. Thank you. Yeah, happy Friday to you too, bro. Hit the like button. We've got almost 1,800 people watching. Not even 300 likes. That is a disgrace. Come on, people. Smash the like, as the people say. Peter Griffith says, Andre the Giant, thumbs up. Do you remember Andre the Giant? Do you remember Princess Bride? Fantastic film. Go and check it out if you haven't seen it already. Andre Onana, I'm not going to pretend that I know loads about him. I don't. However, me and Joe Smith have been upstairs watching some clips of him. There's no doubt this kid is mint on the ball. He is the sort of epitome of a modern goalkeeper. Likes to play out from the back, is a bit of a sweeper, can pick a pass as well. We were watching some clips, and I think everyone, even like me, you're a bit of a layman when it comes to Andre Onana. You haven't watched a lot of Internazionale, but you might have seen the Champions League final. I watched it for a bit. Under pressure from, unfortunately, the best team in Europe, he handled it superbly. He was picking out passes. He was carrying the ball. Also, like the fact that when Erling Haaland went in on him, he stood up to him. He kicked off of him. I like a bit of that, me. I don't like it when goalkeepers are a bit soft and they tend to get a little bit bullied. I like a goalkeeper who's like, yeah, what do you think you're doing? I'm all about that. So there's a lot of reasons to like Andre Onana, and obviously Erik ten Hag knows him from his time at Ajax. So if we want to play out from the back, which Manchester United seem to want to do under Erik ten Hag, this guy seems to tick all the boxes. Can it happen though? Will it happen? There's still doubts of whether David De Gea is going to sign a new deal. Kean McGinley says, I just waited 6 months. Oh, right. Sorry. Hang on a minute. Yep. I think that is something to do with a Stretford top, sort of guys. I don't know if that's... I think that might be something to do with the football team, which isn't to do with us. But I will... I mean, if you want to drop me an email, I can help you get that sorted, Kean. Hopefully you've got it. Well, it looks like you've got it, but you've had to wait. But that's, again, Stretford Paddock FC and Stretford Paddock are two different entities, but I will pass on your message. Kean McGinley also says, why does Giggs not get treated like Greenwood? I think Ryan Giggs has got a trial coming up as well. I mean, it's just... it's deflating, isn't it? Hendrick says, Jay, who's on the brew today? It's myself, Stephen Howson, and Ryan Hopper. Let me know about Onana, right? Have you seen much of this kid? Do you know much about him? Because I don't, but from what I've seen, he looks the business. There was question marks about how good he is at shot stopping, but he looks like he commands his area, and he looks like someone who can, he's good with the ball and who can carry the ball out and can pick out a pass. And I think if we've got a spine of, say, someone like Onana, someone like Martinez, someone like Casemiro, someone like Bruno, and someone like, say, Marcus Rashford or whoever, that's a good spine, that. That's a spine that you can think, yeah, there's something going on there. It makes sense to me. Let me know what you feel. Do you feel like he's going to come? Do you want to see him come? Do you have any other options? Jacoya Trot says up the RH. Phil Rock says up the RH. Prabhav Kandawali says up the RH. Yep, up the RH indeed. Ryan Hopper will be here. He knows a thing or two about the likes of Bruno Fernandes. He's coached him and Fred as well. Fred linked with a move away. Ryan Hopper, if you don't know, he does RH elite coaching and he coaches some Manchester United players. He gives them a bit of individual coaching, especially during lockdown when a lot of them were getting extra coaching sessions just to keep themselves fresh with the lack of games, whatever. He was the man they went to and he did a very good job of it as well because our form during lockdown was very good indeed. And I think that's all down to Ryan Hopper. Let's talk about the Glazers, if I can do it without swearing. We've got a fresh update with the Glazers, which is basically the Glazers refusing to sanction spending. We've got this from the Manchester Evening News, but you can see a link there. It's come from the Mirror as well. I think they're all one group, aren't they, the Evening News and the Mirror? It says the Glazer family are refusing to sanction spending in the transfer window because of the ongoing uncertainty surrounding the takeover situation. This is what amazes me about these guys, right? Because of the ongoing uncertainty surrounding the takeover situation, like it's not their fault. The reason there's ongoing uncertainty is because they've not acted. We know we've got two massive bids from Sir Jim Ratcliffe and Sheikh Jassim, and they're taking the time. They're trying to squeeze a little bit more money out of one or both of them. Trying to get a bit more money out of Manchester United when you didn't put any money into the club and you've left us in the mud for the best part of 18 years. So this is just incredible to me. The fact that it's like, oh, the Glazers are refusing sanction spending because there's this uncertainty. We should have a transfer budget, regardless of what is happening with the sale. You can't tell me that we're just completely reliant on the sale for any sort of money. That is a nonsense. Manchester United have money. We're in the Champions League next season. We've just finished third in the Premier League. We're one of the biggest footballing brands in the world. We should have money for this manager. This manager needs to be backed properly. Why is he not being backed properly? Why are we seeing clubs like Manchester City, who've just won the effing treble, going out and buying players already, and looks like they're about to get Declan Rice, a player that we were linked with? It's amazing. And I don't mean that in a good way. It's so frustrating. So yeah, Erik ten Hag, who I think has been sold a duffer by the Glazers since he got here. People go, Jamie spent 200 million quid last summer. I don't care. Just want anyone but David Moyes. No, I don't care about that because for starters, we had to replace a load of players that left, the likes of Cavani, the likes of Pogba, the likes of Nemanja Matic. Secondly, we just finished sixth. We had to spend money to even remotely have a chance of getting into the Champions League, which is where all the big bucks are. So obviously we had to do that as well, which he did, and I think he spent the money well. People may question the Anthony one, but I think the jury's still out. But I think you look at the likes of Lisandro Martinez, Christian Eriksen, Tyrell Malacia, Casemiro, all good signings. Then in January we didn't back him. He had to go and buy loanees. When we were fighting on four fronts, we gave him Marcel Sabitzer and Wout Weghorst. When other clubs were going out and spend big money, the likes of Leeds and Bournemouth and Newcastle, everyone was spending money and we didn't. And now we're in this situation where we're into the summer, we've just finished third, we've just won a trophy, we need to kick on. Let's try and get a squad together for this manager so we can mount a title challenge, and we're still kicking about with these bids for Mason Mount, and that's about it, because we don't know how much money is to spend, because the Glazers are refusing to sanction any more transfer funds. It's an absolute farce. I cannot wait to see the back of the Glazers. Chisel Planet says, in his worst season, Mount have 85.8 key passes versus McAllister's 59.8, and Mount have 11% better forward accuracy. Ten Hag knows what he's doing. I am a big fan of comparing Mason Mount to McAllister, to a player that's just gone to Liverpool, especially if you're going to make it look like, or you're showing me that Mason Mount is better. Big fan of that. Well done. Great stats. Love all that. Let's talk about Sheikh Jassim. Sheikh Jassim, right. I want to go into this because it says here, Tottenham takeover news, Man United comments, what Daniel Levy said, and Sheikh Jassim chance. And just scroll up for me a little bit, producer Callum. Right. It says here, Tottenham Hotspur fans will be watching the takeover situation at Manchester United with interest. The Qatari businessman Sheikh Jassim bin Hamad Al Thani wants to buy Man United or United through his 9-2 Foundation company, while billionaire Ineos owner Sir Jim Ratcliffe is also keen. It then goes on to say, meanwhile, it's claimed by journalist Mark Ogden that the Qataris could come in for Spurs if they are unsuccessful in buying United. Keep going. There's a little bit. Now, here's where I know this is coming from Mark Ogden, so whatever this website is called, it's not their story. They've got it from Mark Ogden, so I get it. Like, I'm not criticising sort of Mark Ogden. We've had Mark Ogden on the channel. I know he's a journalist who does do his own work, so there might be something in this. I'm not saying I know for definite. I don't, but there could be something in this. There has been rumours, haven't there, that if the Qataris don't get, I want to say the Qataris, Sheikh Jassim or the Qatari state, or whatever you want to call it. Let's get into that debate another time. But if they don't get Manchester United, they will go elsewhere. There was talk of them going for the Scousers, which I can't imagine if you're a United fan, which everyone says Sheikh Jassim is, and there's pictures of United top, I've no reason to doubt that. Why would you buy Liverpool? The only reason I buy Liverpool as a Manchester United fan is to fold the club, bulldoze the stadium and turn it into an Asda or something. It says here, Sheikh Jassim confirmed his intention to buy the 19-time Premier League winners. What? How many times have we won the Premier League? We've started won the Premier League 13 times, and secondly, we've won the title 20 times. That's wrong. But this is from Mark Ogden's story. I think these people just got that bit wrong. Talks are still ongoing. 7 months. 7 months, man. 7 months it's been. 7 months. Still ongoing. 7 months after the Glazers decided to announce their intentions to explore strategic alternatives for the club. So he's saying, basically, long story short, that Manchester United, or if Sheikh Jassim's not successful, he could go and get Spurs. I don't know. It seems a bit unlikely to me. Now, this is just my theory here, so I'm not going off. I'm not saying I've got any ITK knowledge. I know what's going on. Kean McGinley says, "Can you PM me an email?" But yeah, drop me an email at fulltimedevils@gmail.com. Drop me an email, Kean, and I'll forward it on to the Stretford Paddock FC chaps. So there's several bits that sort of confuse me with this. One, if he's a United fan, why would he want to buy Spurs? Yeah, go for United. You don't get United. You don't go and buy a rival. Don't get that. Secondly, there's this idea that the Qataris and Sheikh Jassim are quite interested in the whole project idea, that we're going to regenerate the area, build a new stadium, do the ground, do the training ground, do everything. It's going to be this all-encompassing sort of bid that rejuvenates Manchester United completely. I don't know if that would happen at Spurs. They've just got a new stadium, so you're not doing that. But that might be attractive to you, but it doesn't feel like the same kind of project, if that makes sense. Yes, the football team needs investment. Yes, they need to start winning trophies because they've not won any for God knows how long. But it doesn't feel like the similar sort of thing. When you look at a lot of the takeovers of clubs that have come from the Middle East and from state-backed bids, City were mid-table. Stadium was all right. It was, they got it from the Commonwealth Games. It wasn't particularly amazing, but it was okay. Training facilities, again, okay, nothing to write home about. The team, bang average. It was a project, and they've done that, and they've spent money in the area. I wish they'd spend more money for low-income families when it comes to housing and stuff like that, because they've also bought houses, but that's a different story we don't need to get into. Then you've got the Qatari bid, or the Qatari takeover of PSG. Again, big bid, lots of money spent on transfers, of course, changing the entire makeup of that club and that team. Relative success domestically, massively so. In Europe, not so much. Newcastle, you've got the Saudi bid. Again, this feels like, is that going to be something where it's going to be bigger than just the team. As of yet, we've not really seen much of that. We've just seen him invest in the team. I don't know. My point that I'm sort of stumbling towards is it would be very, very different if you went for Spurs than for Manchester United, because Manchester United are a proper sleeping giant that need a new stadium, that need new training ground facilities, that need investment in the team as well, and also the surrounding area. I think Old Trafford, the area of Old Trafford, is one of the poorest in the country, and I used to live near there. I'm not knocking the people there or the area itself, but it needs investment, and that is what Sheikh Jassim's bid apparently will do. Tottenham, I don't know a lot about Tottenham. It just feels like a different area. I mean, a different bid, sorry, and a different sort of project. Let me know what you think. Do you think there's anything in this? I don't, personally. Let me know what you think. Bill Simo says, morning Jay, sorry I'm late, brother. Thank you. I appreciate the apology. Don't be late again, though. I'm only joking. I appreciate the fact that you joined in. And if you are here, hit that like button. Prabhav Kandawali says, can't see Greenwood playing for us again. The Greenwood discussion is going to go on for a very long time. KC says, I'm having fun this morning, blocking all the pro Greenwood fans. Fair enough. Glenn F says, morning, our kid, morning. Charlton Botha says Sheikh J will have to change his company name to the Trophyless Foundation. Well, I think that's a reference to Spurs. The only few clubs that have won, few big clubs that have won fewer trophies than Spurs. Spurs' trophy record is amazingly bad, isn't it? Considering they're a team that are always there or thereabouts at the top end of the table, like in the top four. The fact that when's the last time they won a trophy, Spurs? Is it 2012? I think it is. Let me know if I'm wrong. Fat Thor says, Jay, you lost weight exercising. Well, yes, I've lost. Cut out a bit of sugar, bro. Anyone wondering? I'm not ill. Someone said you look ill the other day. Thanks for that. Yeah, cut out a bit of sugar and doing lots of runs. So thank you for noticing. Listen, I'm going to wrap it up there. Big thank you to everyone who got involved in the comments and the chat. Had a really good discussion. We're going to be back later on. We've got some good things going on today. We're going to be speaking to a journalist who broke a story last week about Sheikh Jassim and Manchester United. We're going to be chatting to him. Joe Smith's going to sit down with him. So make sure you're checking that out. We've got the brew later on with myself, Stephen Housen, and Ryan Hopper up the RH. This has been the Paper Talk. I've been Jay Motty. Don't forget to hit like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching.